Welcome to OnGig TV. I'm Heather Barber, Head of Content Strategy at OnGig, and I'm excited to guide you through this session today. We're going to be discussing how to use inclusive language in job descriptions to attract top talent. So, why inclusive language? It's really more than just a buzzword, even though we hear it a lot. It's a big part of creating welcoming and respectful environments at work. Inclusive language means avoiding biases and discriminatory expressions, which makes your job descriptions more appealing to a wider group of potential applicants. By using inclusive language, we make our content more appealing and also accessible to a wider audience. That includes people from underrepresented groups who might feel overlooked or marginalized in certain circumstances. So let's talk about now something that you might do to help your recruiting team, and that is to create an inclusive language guide or style guide. So where do you start with this? What I would do is start looking at other style guides. These can give you some great ideas. The goal here is to really create a go-to resource. It gives advice on word choice to combat biased language, and you want to make sure your communication reflects diverse identities and perspectives. So this guide isn't just about words, it's about making everyone feel included. Having a biased words list keeps unwanted language out of your job ads. You'll see here on the screen one example from Some of Us. So they have they call it a progressive style guide, and it gives tips on inclusive language for multiple categories of bias. And this approach really isn't new. So other companies, for example, back in 2020, Twitter Engineering, they announced they were creating an internal inclusive language list. So this move was also echoed by companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google. These brands reworked some common tech terms to be more inclusive. And it really showed how language shapes different areas of our work environments. So now let's talk about keeping things simple. Job descriptions can sometimes feel like they're written in code or lots of jargon. So that's where we can make a big change. So how do we do it? We avoid those complex words, business jargon. It's all about using clear and plain language. This isn't just about being easy to understand. It's really about being accessible again to everyone. So think about candidates, for example, on the autism spectrum or people with learning disabilities. For them, oftentimes overcomplicated language can be a big barrier. So by simplifying your words, we're opening doors for more potential talent. And it's about making sure everyone, regardless of their neurodiversity or educational background, can connect with the opportunities you're offering. And this approach really has another bonus. It helps everyone. Clear language cuts through all the noise, gets straight to the point. We all see loads of content on a daily basis. So this means that people spend less time deciphering your job ads and more time applying for them. So when writing job postings, it's really important to be mindful of the terms that you're using that could potentially exclude certain genders, races, age, people from other underrepresented groups. So it's really all about finding the right tone, making sure everyone feels like they have a fair chance when they're reading your job ads. So this might sound like a big task, especially if you have loads and loads of job descriptions, but there are tools out there that can help. So for example, OnGig's text analyzer scans your job descriptions for any language that might unintentionally be biased. It's not just about avoiding certain words, it's really about creating an environment in your job ads that reflects your culture and a culture of inclusion. So by using a tool like Text Analyzer during your editing process or your job description creation process, you can quickly create job ads that are not just effective, but also inclusive. And even better, the tool is using AI and automation to help create and store templates to save your team time when you need to hire a role again. So let's talk about dyslexia for a minute. In the US, about 10% of people have dyslexia. This neurodiversity often leads to challenges in processing written words, especially on digital screens, which most of us use on a daily basis. So font choices matter. To create more inclusive job descriptions, it's really important to consider the fonts that you're using. The slide here shows you a list of recommended dyslexia-friendly fonts. Those are just a few examples. And then some other tips. One is to format your job descriptions for clarity. So this means use clear subheadings to structure your text. Avoid underlining or italics because they can be crowding visually for people with dyslexia. And instead use bold for emphasis and formatting. Also, a larger font size, at least 12 to 14 point, can really improve readability for people with dyslexia. And another tip, don't use unnecessary detail where you don't have to. So this not only helps simplify your job ads for people with dyslexia, for example, but it also lowers your chances of excluding certain groups like people with disabilities. Let's look at an example. So you might say that a plant manager needs to walk from station to station on the warehouse floor, for example, but is how they really get from place to place important? Couldn't they use a wheelchair or a scooter to achieve the same goal? Also, using words like lift, for example, might make someone feel excluded depending on the context. Another tip to consider is to show candidates you're dedicated to being inclusive. So one way you can do this is by adding a special section in your job postings that highlights these benefits. A few examples are listed on this slide. Instead of listing these in a benefits section, some companies just add a sentence or two. So it's really up to you how you decide to display them in your job ads. But by showing them, it's just an added bonus. One example is the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. They say in the closing of their job ads, to support a workplace culture of belonging, we offer 7 ERGs and have a 100% rating on the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equality Index. So instead of listing out actual benefits like you see on the slide, they just have a quick sentence on inclusive benefits. So again, this is a great place to really show your support for inclusive work. So my last tip is to tidy up your EEO statement. EEO statements aren't new, but they can be updated to have a focus on being more inclusive. You can do this with a sentence or two like SurveyMonkey here on the left side, or you can be more in depth like Visa. So it's really up to you, but again, it's all about using inclusive language. So thanks for spending a few minutes with me today, and incorporating these tips will help you make your job descriptions more inclusive and help increase your talent pool. So if you'd like to learn more about OnGig's text analyzer software for job descriptions and how we can help, request a demo and we'll have you speak with someone on our team. They can show you exactly how it might fit into your workflow. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into creating effective and inclusive job descriptions. Have a great day.